Welcome, everyone. My name is Trevor B. West. Thank you so much for being here. This is a show where we're going to talk about all things real estate. And as we know, real estate isn't just a linear business, there's a lot of things involved with this. For me personally, faith, family, fitness, relationship, being mentally tough. There's so many things that go into this business, and that's why we want to cultivate the conversation to be able to elevate us to a new level so we can change our position and not be stuck complaining, not be stuck in life, wondering why things aren't getting any better, but taking the bull by the horns in the sense that we are doing everything that we can within our own power to do what's necessary so that we can get to that next position in life. So I'm sitting here with a good friend of mine. His name's Cole. Say hello to everybody, Cole.
Hi.
But him and I are going to be having a conversation. Cole and his wife Abby, they actually just recently got married. They're still in their first year of marriage. How's that been, Cole?
Pretty
That
good
first
so
year.
far. It's been a lot of great things that have come with it, so I'm just really happy.
Yeah, awesome, dude. And honestly, they're an incredible young couple. And Cole approached me, and actually both him and his wife approached me, wanting to learn more about real estate, wanting to figure out how they can change their position in life and start taking action on getting into their first deal. So I thought, what better way than for us to have that conversation here, because a lot of people still don't have their first deals. A lot of people are still trying to figure it out. And I think through this conversation of somebody who has zero deals, somebody who has many deals, depending on what your perspective of many is, we're going to have that conversation. I'm going to help Cole through some of those things. But just a little bit about me, if you don't know anything about who Trevor B. West is. I grew up here in Ohio, and we're going to close that door if you can. We got a lot going on here. My beautiful wife, Lena, is out in the kitchen. We're going to have dinner right after this. And this is the first of many videos. So this is actually going to be a series of first getting started, then getting into the first property, and what are the things that go into getting that first deal. But again, my name's Trevor B. West, and I grew up here in Canton, Ohio. And shortly after high school, I went and joined the Air Force. And while I was in the Air Force, I was an intelligence analyst. And that means a lot of things to a lot of different people. Some people think James Bond. Some people think a nerd sitting in a dark room behind a computer. And that would be the most accurate statement. For a long time, my job was to find terrorist organizations and the individuals in that organization, whether it be ISIS, Al Qaeda, Al Shabaab, uh, the Taliban. I spent probably the majority of my career looking at Taliban and Al Qaeda figures so that we could go and bring those individuals into custody or eliminate them from the battlefield. And I learned a lot through these processes. Mainly, I needed to know who they were, what they did, where they were, what kind of weapons they used, what the route was like heading into their village and out of their village, what was the sentiment like of the village. Are they friendly to U.S. forces? Are they friendly to the Taliban? Where's ISIS at? Because those two, the Taliban and ISIS, really don't get along. So all that to say is I had to use my skills to learn everything that I could and then bring that information to the trigger pullers or the battlefield warriors, and they would go and conduct those kill capture operations. So I needed them to have the most accurate information possible. And I absolutely loved this. This was a really, really cool experience. I got to meet some incredible individuals and, quite frankly, traveled all over the world, and it was beautiful. I met some incredible people, to include my wife, who I met in Germany while I was doing some targeting out there. Um, Now, I loved what I did, but I started to fall out of love with it in a sense that I had really done all the coolest things that someone could do in this position as an intelligence analyst. Like, I've already reached the peak, because you probably were thinking, well, you're telling me that you're sitting behind a desk in a dark room with a bunch of other nerds. And that is really the reality of most intelligence analysts in the Air Force. But I did have great opportunities to do some things outside of that, which were really cool. But I could see where the mission sets were shifting, and we weren't going to be doing as much of the cool stuff that I really like to do. And this got me thinking about what I wanted to do with the rest of my Air Force career. But I never did anything with that information. I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'll figure it out. But lo and behold, I was living with three of my really good friends at the time. We all decided to join the rugby team. And we're all young military guys living in the same house. So what do? We drink, we party, we live promiscuous lifestyle. We're doing all this stupid stuff. So I really thought that, like, oh, if I just get to do more of that, then I'm cool. So we ended up joining the rugby team, and this was a blast. I mean, rugby is such an incredible sport. I'm not sure if you've ever watched it, Cole, but it is just like, I mean, it's just a bunch of dudes out there hitting each other as hard as they can, honestly, and running the rugby ball to score a touchdown. And on one fateful Saturday on the pitch, I got my leg snapped by this absolutely massive individual. He was like 6'6", 300 pounds. In my memory, probably. He's probably just the same size as me. But this really massive guy came, snapped my leg right in half. It was hanging like a meat hook. And this was the biggest blessing in disguise that I could have ever imagined. So I had to get surgery to get my leg fixed and corrected, and this put me on the couch for a while. And another blessing in disguise, all of my roommates went somewhere else. Like, they either deployed, they went on a long trip for work, and it was really just me. And I had my wheelchair, my Percocets, and my Netflix account. And after you burn through about 100 hours of Netflix, you start to ask yourself some different questions. And being alone for that amount of time, I'd never been alone for that amount of time. I mean, I am such an extroverted person. I love being around people. I never got burnt out, or so I thought. And this put me in a place where now I'm really thinking about my future. I had no plan, no exit strategy, no thought of what I wanted to do. Do I want to stay in the Air Force, leave the Air Force? Did I want to go and do something different, start a business? I had no idea. But this fear caused me to take action. Went to school, hated every second of that. And then I thought, I need to get my money right, because I was $20,000 in credit card debt. I was driving a car I had no business driving, living in a place I had no business living in, and I couldn't say no to anything for any reason. I was swiping that credit card, baby, just letting her rip. And that got me in a bit of a pickle. So I thought, I need to get this square. I need to get it straight. And so that's where I started. I bought a bunch of books on financial literacy and just went to work, paying off my credit cards, saving every penny. I really went hard. We'll get into some of that, some more of the minute details here in a little bit. But I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't at this point, you might want to figure out what's going on. Order it. It's $8 on Amazon. I get no sponsorship from this, and probably never will. But read that book. It changed my life. It will probably at least knock some things loose and reshift some things in your brain. And that's how I got started in real estate. And I wanted to take action. So I learned everything that I could in a 90-day period on real estate investing. I went and bought my first property, which is a triplex with the VA loan. Absolutely incredible loan product. Went and I had saved a little bit of a nest egg, bought a duplex, and then I partnered. I left that partnership. All in all, scaled all the way up to where we're sitting at now of 73 or 72 apartment units. We have one house that we're getting ready to put on the rental market. And we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot along the way. So this is me sharing some of that knowledge with you guys, sharing some of that with the people in my local community to help get them to a better place. And financially, there's only so much we can do, but we can start financially. And so that's a little bit about me and why I do this with Cole. Why I use my time to help a young family get to a better position. One, because I absolutely love real estate, changed my life big time, shifted everything in terms of how I saw the world, how I saw myself, how I saw opportunities, the vision I have for my life and for the people that are around me. And I want to give back. I also want to do life with people who think similarly to me. So if Cole approaches me as like, hey, I want to do more of what you're doing, or I want whatever you're doing, I want to do something like that. Let's do it. Let's figure out a way to make that happen. And setting someone else for the future. Real estate is not in real estate business, elevating yourself is not about the money. The money is just a byproduct. The money is an outpouring of the things, the outputs that we are putting out. And if I put out, hey, I want to help you, maybe one day there's something that Cole can do to help me. And it's not about that, but it's so that we can grow and progress together and just help each other out. In the power of real estate investing. I mean, this is something that Cole will take and apply it to his life, hopefully change his family's future. If he follows the steps, this will change his family's future forever, like literally forever. So that's what excites me the most. I get chills thinking about that because it doesn't take that much and it doesn't take that much time. It takes consistent effort every day, diligently across time, and you can shift things in a dramatic way. And I know God's going to show up in beautiful and tremendous ways. God is the sneakiest person in the universe, and he put all these things in front of us. And baby, I'm telling you, we're going to discover them and we're going to find them out. So, Cole, as I mentioned, you approached me. We've been having this conversation. You came to my real estate meetup. We've been talking about business-like things over the course of probably the last
year and a half or so.
Year and
I'd
a
say
half.
a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So talk to me about like what's going on in your life, why you want to make this step, and yeah, just share with me and share with me why that's something that you're looking to do.
Well, so right now I'm going to college for computer science, and right now I'm not really enjoying the route that I'm taking right now. Although there is a lot of money in that field, I'm just not really enjoying that too much. And I'd like to shift into something that I think that it's more interesting to me, something that piques my interest a lot more.
Yeah.
I think from what you've explained to me, a lot of what you're doing is stuff that I've dreamed about a lot. So I'd just like to take that route, explore it, and see what it brings.
Okay. And we're definitely going to talk about dreams. Yeah. I want to break out, like, we got to figure out how to honestly dream again. Like most of us, we think of life in this very finite box of, this is how my parents did it and this is how I'm going to do it. And we might break away from how our parents did it a little bit. But dude, I look back on my life on things I said I wouldn't, I picked this up from my dad or my mom or whoever. I'm not going to do that. And then I look at my life and I'm doing that thing. I'm doing exactly that. So we got to think of life as this beautiful opportunity, this beautiful experience, this beautiful journey to be able to embark on and not have to stay stuck in a specific position because of where we grew up, who we're around, and that's a big part of it, and what opportunities we think are available to us, how smart or not smart we think we are. But I want to break this down into 3 different areas: relationally, and then building a vision for the future, and then financially. To me, those are some of the core rocks, the core foundation pieces that we want to have set up in place before we ever even buy our first property. We want to think about buying our first property, but we want to have these things in place first before we ever even, go and talk to a lender or anything like that. So the first thing that I have here is getting on the same page with your spouse. That was something that I talked with you about. You guys want to make sure, because I challenged you with some pretty serious things when we had this, really had this initial talk about real estate. So what has that conversation been like with you and your wife on getting on the same page, on embarking on this journey of getting into your first investment property?
Well, there's been a lot of consideration that we've had to take into account, and there's just been a lot of factors that we've had to consider. I would have to shift away entirely from college and pretty much drop what I'm doing to pursue this dream. But the reward is massive if I follow your steps correctly.
Yeah.
So the talks have been good though. It's been challenging at some points with some of the concepts that we've went over, but overall, I think we've now come to a consensus that this is what we both want to do.
Yeah. What are some of those obstacles in the conversation? What are some things that either hold you back, hold your wife back, and yeah, what are, because if you're feeling that, if you're having that conversation for the families that are out there, the younger couples or people who are just starting on this, like, what are some of those things?
Well, first thing is well, I need a bunch of money, but from what you've explained to me, that's not really true. That there's ways that you can go about it that you don't need that. There's things that you should go about, like you should try and find ways to increase your income, but other than that, and there's some other small things, but yeah. So
Yeah, do you guys have any like doubts, any
yes,
fears?
I would say that there's definitely a lot of doubt of, is this gonna work out? Is what we're gonna do, is that gonna, are we gonna fall flat on our face? And also with even family pressure. There's been some family pressure, but we've tried to work through that. So
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that or no?
so like for example, so my dad was not very happy that I want to pursue this route, of course. But although that he's not happy, I know that this is what's best for me and my spouse, and I believe that I have my full faith and trust that you can bring forward the steps necessary to create a sound future for both of us.
Yeah. What were some of the things that your dad had brought up?
He wanted me to pursue my degree, finish my degree, get my bachelor, and I right now I have an associate's, but I basically just told him that I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That I would like to shift gears into something that interests me a lot more.
Yeah. And dude, honestly, that's a conversation that is one incredibly tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a tough conversation to have with somebody that you care about, you know, who cares about you, and has had such an influence on your life. I know when I was wanting to get out of the Air Force, I mean, my parents, it's not that they were unhappy with me, but they were very adamant about me sticking with the Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
doing my 20 years, getting a pension from the military, and then starting my life. Because I can't fault them. They both worked in factories their whole life. My dad worked in a steel mill for 40 years, and my mom worked in, I don't even know what kind of factory it was, but she worked in a factory for 30, 20 plus years.
Right.
And worked for a pension. And that's what they saw as success. It's like, oh, now you can start. And I'm like, and I started having these conversations with people in the military, and you know, oh, you're so close. I mean, I've been in 8 years. I'm like, 12 more years is a long time. In a constant conversation in the military is, once you get that 10-year mark, you're already halfway there. You might as well just do another decade of something that you might not like, have any interest in, or care about whatsoever. It might not be the best for your mental health, your physical health, your time with your family. And we've really got to start thinking critically. And what I'm super proud of you for is because you're thinking critically. And not only that, but you got to have staying power. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but we got to stick with it. We got to make a decision and then stick with it. Whether that goes well or whether it goes poorly, we got to stick with it, especially if we know, hey, if we stick through this, there's going to be something greater on the other side, right? And we got to fight through some of those things that, I mean, people are going to push back on. Because the truth is, people push back not because, well, a lot of times people really want the best for us. They want the absolute best for us. And oftentimes, outside of them wanting the best for us, they don't, us going and pursuing something greater or different highlights an insecurity in them. It highlights something that they never went to do. It doesn't matter about the thing itself. It's that most people live in a place where they never aspire for anything. They don't chase their dreams. They settle for less and they get comfortable. Most people settle for less and they get comfortable. They stop dreaming. They stop pursuing. They stop learning. And I'm here to tell you, there's so much more to life than the things the people around you are telling you are available to you and available to you. Like there's so much more. And it's hard because these are people that love us. These are people we care about, but it's going to be the closest people to us, our friends and our family, that want to pull us back down and say, don't you be going out and trying to make something of yourself. And that's what we want to break out. We want to break the mold. So building a vision for the future. We got to dream again. So we want to make sure that we are thinking outside the box in terms of what is possible for us to do in this life. So I know we've had these types of conversations like, dude, we want to do more, whether it's do more, have more, experience more, or give more. Do and experience are pretty much the same, but have things we want to have, things we want to experience, and things we want to give. Have you guys had any conversations like that?
Yes. I think that a lot of that, what me and my spouse share in common, is that we both want to.
Isn't that fun though to say my spouse?
Yeah.
Has it worn off for you at all yet?
No, not yet.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
When Lena and I first got married, I would say, this is my wife.
Yeah.
And people, like, I remember this one guy very specifically while we were on our honeymoon. He was like, "Oh, you guys must be newlyweds," and he was right. But even because he said I would never introduce my spouse like that. I would never say, "Oh, and this is my wife." I would just say, "This is so and so." I'm like, that's really strange. Even now, we're almost 2 years in. I'm like, this is my wife. And I want to live in a perpetual state of that honeymoon phase because the newness, I'm sure it has certainly wore off, but there's little things that we can do and appreciate. It's like, sometimes it's like, dude, that's my wife. I love that. I love that. I'm glad that you guys are experiencing that newness.
That's good. So what was your question again? I wanted to get back to
it
that.
was, what are the types of things that you guys want to have, experience, and give?
Gotcha. So, what me and my wife,
Your wife.
one of the things that we share in common is that we want to be able to give more. That was something that we both shared even from the way back in the beginning. We wanted to find ways to give more. So, and I think with real estate that there's a ample amount of ways to give more.
Yeah.
So I'd like to explore that,
Yeah. I mean, when we have more, and it's not just about acquiring things, but when we have the opportunity to give, I always explain it like this is, if you have a fist, imagine a fist full of cash. And I'm like, nobody's getting any of this. This is all for me. Nothing can get in or out. But if we open up our hand, money can come and money can go. And the key to living is giving, as our pastor says. Like, the key to living is giving. And when you can give more, you get to experience a whole lot more. You get to make people smile. You get to share something with people that they might not have experienced without you doing something. And it opens you up to saying, I'm willing to give, but I'm also willing to receive, as long as we have the right mindset about it. So I love that, you and your wife have this idea and this heart posture that, dude, we want to be able to give more. That was the first thing you said.
Yeah.
If I was in your position at your age, without knowing the things and not being the person that I am now, I'd be like, I want to have this. I want to be able to go here. And I still want those things, but we also want to be able to give and pour out to people that might not have that opportunity. Um, and it's going to look different for you than it is for me. What kind of ways are you guys having conversations on how you want to give?
That's a good question. I think that one way that we thought about is we were thinking that if we can give back more to the church, that we could fund mission trips to around the world
Yeah.
to preach the gospel and to preach Jesus to around the world.
Yeah, that's huge. And if you guys are new to this channel, this is what I'm all about. This is the people that I surround myself are all about. Whether you believe or don't, I'm not going to shove anything down your throat, or try to beat you over the head with anything by any means. But we love Jesus. We live in a free country. Whatever you guys want to believe is for you to believe. But as you can see, this is something that a firm foundation that we believe that we can put our faith in. And I think it's great that you want to give to the church and allow people to go on missions trips and share the gospel with people who may have never heard it or may have experienced Christianity in a way that most of the world seems to think about Christianity is that, liars, thieves, just want your money, talk the talk, but don't walk the walk type of thing. And we want to send good people out into the field. What about things that you guys want to have, the things that you want to experience? This one's tougher for a lot of people. It's like, what do we want to have? We want to have, of course, the basics: house, cars, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something different for you.
That's another thing. I really like travel, and so does she. And that's another thing that we've talked about is we want to be able to take trips and explore the world ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just travel Europe and Asia and many other continents and countries.
Right on. I love it. My wife and I, we love to travel. We go all over the place. We just got back from Mexico, actually, so I look like a real black person right now. Absolutely incredible to be able to go and experience different cultures, but honestly, just get away. And one of the things I would implore you guys to do is take those opportunities, get away from the hustle and bustle, especially running a business. Whether we're all busy, right? We all feel the busyness of life, but getting away, unplugging, putting our phone in airplane mode, these are the things that we realize. One, we are spending way too much time on screens, whether it be social media, TV, behind the computer desk, that counts as a screen. We are just taking so much time we're giving the most valuable resource that we have, our time, to these devices. And we're certainly going to talk about that in a minute, but we just wanted to refocus. We have now hard stop time on screen time for the evening and in the morning. We have things, these are the list of things that we can do once the screens go off. We can do a Bible study. We can read independently. We can plan our day for the following day, so we can just be a little more prepared. But last block here, financially. This is equally as important. We don't want to go and just dive off into this thing and not have a firm foundation on our finances. So, just really briefly, what are some habits, some negative habits? Because we actually just did a Money Matters conference at the church where I taught some of the foundational tips and tricks on financial literacy. So one of the exercises that we did was we want to figure out what are some of the bad habits that we've caught. Most things are caught versus taught in life. But what are some of those things that we caught that we need to shift, change, and move into, so that way when we go and invest in our first deal, it's not we have a firm financial foundation.
I'd say one of the things is spontaneous spending. Sometimes I'll see something on Amazon and I'll be like, oh, that's something super cool. I want to buy that. And then I buy it and then I was like, well, I didn't really need that, at least not right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bro. I remember I bought this is in my high credit card swiping days, dude. We went to the mall. Brookstone, Brookstone, they have all the gadgets.
Yeah.
And I would always go in there and I would put my feet in the foot massagers. And one day I'm like, you know what? I got a credit card now. I'm buying one. $400.
Oh,
I got it back to my rinky dink, beat up dorm room, Langley, Virginia. I had this little cot basically in this tiny little room. And I'm sitting there with my feet dangling off the bed, sitting in this thing. And I was like, what am I doing? How could I have bought this for $400? I took it back to the store, but it still didn't click for me. Hey, you probably shouldn't continue to dig yourself into a financial pit. Yeah, spontaneous spending, of course, that shapes us in ways that, when we go and we want to impress our spouse. I know for me, before, a lot of these financial tips, still working on, still, keep a hold of. It's like holding a ball underneath water. It's constantly trying to get back up. At least it is for me. So when I want to take my wife out, and when we go to Mexico, and let's do a helicopter ride and the jet skis and the parasailing and all this. No. Let's just have a good time. Let's just experience being together, enjoying the sunshine, going to the beach, and just enjoying the life that we've been given. We don't have to go do those things. Those things are fun. You've never seen anyone not smiling on a jet ski, unless they're getting ripped off of it by a wave and cascaded and catapulted into the water and then eaten.
that doesn't sound fun.
No. So what steps have you taken to stop your spontaneous spending?
Well, I guess the most basic way, kind of a harder way, but just don't go on the app, because then I'm going to find something that I like and it's going to start triggering that, well, I need it now, and I'm going to start justifying why I need to buy it now.
A little Amazon buying.
Yeah.
Are you an Amazon guy?
A little bit.
All right. Okay. Yeah, deleting the app is definitely good.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's kind of how I wanted to shape this conversation. Relationally, we want to make sure that we're on the same page with our spouse, whoever's the closest person with us, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever that is. We want to make sure that we are on the same page. We are moving forward in stride. It's like a three-legged race. If one person's jacking it up, you're both going down. Because here's the thing. One person wants to go and do these things and the other one doesn't. One's in a growth mindset and one's in a stagnant mindset. What's going to happen when this person when this person goes and starts pursuing something greater and they're not on the same page here? It's going to cause friction, rifts, bitterness, separation. And the last thing we want to do is even get a tiny little wedge in between our relationship, because the longer it goes untouched, it just festers and grows. And relationally, that you want to be stronger relationally than you are ever when it comes to financially. If the relationship is strong, it doesn't matter if you're eating a piece of bread or if you're eating a big tomahawk steak. It's going to be better if the relationship is solid. If you're eating a steak and your relationship is not good, then you got a problem. You'd rather be eating the bread and have a good relationship. So that's most important. Building a vision for the future. We want to make sure that we're looking at goals similarly. We want to give in the same ways. We want to experience in the same ways. We want to have in the same ways, and keep everything in terms of where we're going lined out so that you actually get there. If we don't know where we're going, we might not get there. So we want to sit down and we want to plan with our spouses, have these conversations. Where are we going? What do we want to do with our lives? Why are we here? And lastly, we want to make sure that we're financially stable. We're not, if one spouse is out spending on the credit cards and the other spouse is at home trying to hold it down, that's going to cause some friction. The friction's good, but we want to solve that, right? So getting on the same page. How are we going to spend? How are we going to live? How are we going to do these things so that when we jump off of this cliff, we're going together and we have a parachute. But let's dive into some of these specific things. Why real estate? This is a question that I encourage you to ask yourself. This is a question I encourage you to ask yourself. Why real estate? You'll see this all over the personal development world. What's your why? You probably heard it.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
I've heard it, yeah.
What's your why? Simon Sinek made this really famous, find your why. And I think it's an important question. I do. But I think it's played out a little bit because most of the times we hear these stories, they're very deep, they're very rich, they're rooted in something extraordinary. What's your why? Oh my God. Well, I was on a train and someone parachuted onto the train and broke into the train and ripped, somebody out of it. I had to go save them and I had to figure out how to get back home. And this crazy story landed them into having this deep, deep desire to do something more with their life. I think we all have the desire to do more, but it's not always going to be this grandiose or really rich, deep backstory. Sometimes it's just going to be, hey, I want to do better with my life. One of the things that my mentor always says is if you dig into a why deep enough, you'll often find a who. So who is this for, right? You probably want to step into a more husband role, right? You're now the leader of the household. You want to direct the household in a path that is progressive and a path that elevates the family. And that who, you might not have that who. You might not know exactly why. But I like to say that the who could be you. To become someone greater than you are now. To do something more than you're doing now. And it could really be that simple. I want to do things that make my life better. Something Jordan Peterson says, clean up your room. So if you just set a timer for 10 minutes and clean up your room, will it be better than it was before you started? Absolutely it will. Same thing with our life. Let's just take some time, focus on where we want to go, why we want to do it, who we want to do it for, and let's send it. And it's going to be a momentum builder. And the whole why story, I'm still learning what my why is. I'm still learning what are the real reasons that I'm doing this. And I have some very real reasons. I want to be greater than I am now. I want to steward the things that God has blessed me with. I want to lead our family in a place that is much better than it is now. And this is my chosen path. For some people, it's not real estate. It has nothing to do with real estate. But for me, this is where we're at, and this is what we want to do. So I encourage you as well, Cole. Like, put that on paper. Get it down on paper so that and it's going to change and develop over time. I still have all of my original notes when I was writing out my goals and who I wanted to be and all this stuff. And the funny part is that it's all pretty much true now. Like, it's all true now. It might not look exactly the same, and I've far surpassed what I thought was possible in a 7-year period. It's truly amazing. So we want to figure out what our why is. But we also want to have some goals. And goals, again, gets a little convoluted. I like to say targets. What is the target that I'm trying to get to? And I don't really like to set goals per se because I don't want to put limits on God. I think God is the sneakiest person in the universe. I think God is the most limitless being that's ever, he's the most limitless being in the universe. He can do anything. And if he wants to do it through me, who am I to tell him this is how far I want to go? But targets or goals, and these could be SMART targets or SMART goals. Have you heard of SMART goals? SMART targets?
No.
So SMART stands for specific, measurable, agreed upon in writing, reasonable, and time bound. We want these to be time bound. So specific, what does that mean? We want to know exactly what it is that we're trying to do. In this case,
real estate.
We're trying to get into our first deal, baby. Come on now. We're going to get into our first deal. But we want to be even more specific than that. What type of deal do we want to do? Do you know?
Preferably a duplex.
A duplex. Why a duplex?
It's passive income that you can earn with the duplex.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I would say residual income.
Okay.
Passive income means I do nothing.
Ah, okay.
Right? And you'll hear that a lot. A lot of people in real estate talk about passive income. People say, "Oh, it's totally passive." No, it's not passive. If I have to do stuff, am I answering emails? Am I sending people out there to do stuff? Do I have, at least for me, it is 100% active because like this is my full time gig. But rentals are always going to have some type of active response from you. So I always call it residual income.
Gotcha.
But in a duplex, you might not even have some residual income. You're going to have people who are paying you rent, and that's going to go towards your mortgage balance. But say your mortgage is $1,000 and they're paying $800 in rent, right? You're still going to have that $200 difference, but you're on the right track in terms of you're going to have some income coming in that will, in a sense of a duplex, will eliminate your living cost, and that's ideal. Like that is quite literally one of the greatest things that we could do as young people is eliminate our living expense. Eliminate it. How much more could we do if our living expense was gone? How much further could we get if we didn't have that $1,000 looming over our head every month? Think smarter, not harder, and this is the best way to do it. So you're right on target there. Measurable. How do we measure this? I think it's pretty easy. We get the deal.
Right.
We get the deal. And now, of course, we can measure in terms of how successful the deal is. Maybe that $1,000 mortgage, maybe the mortgage is $1,500 and you're only getting $800 in rent. Now you have $700 that you're coming out of pocket. That's measurable in terms of what steps are we taking in order to get there. So that's one of them. Other steps could be, hey, I'm talking to lenders. Other measurables, I'm talking to real estate agents. Other measurables, I'm looking for deals constantly. Other measurables are, I know what type of deal I can afford because this is what the lender told me. So we want it to be measurable, agreed upon in writing, simple, straightforward. We want to write this stuff down. We want to have a tangible asset that we can then go back and review and change if we need to, but we have something on paper. Reasonable. If you were to come to me and say, hey, dude, I know you buy apartment buildings. I want to go buy a 50-unit building. I would say it's probably possible, but is it reasonable? Is that the reasonable first step? And I say that because I remember I first got into the real estate game, and I am buying small multifamily properties, 2 to 4 unit properties. We're picking up some speed. I had a partner at the time, and we're crushing some deals. It's going great. And another friend of mine said, hey, dude, I'm buying these big apartment buildings. You should too. It's absolutely possible. Go bigger. And I'm like, yeah, of course, you're right. I'll stop doing all of this and I'll only try to buy a big apartment building. 3.5 years, 4 years have surpassed since that, and the largest building I have is a 10 unit. But for a long time, almost 3 years, it killed my momentum because I wanted to go and buy these big deals. I had to network with a completely different demographic. I had to learn how to underwrite deals I needed to learn how to analyze a deal in a completely different way. I needed to learn how to raise capital and do all these things, and it was just too much. I wasn't ready. Some people are just ready for that. I needed to go through what it meant to be a business owner. I needed to go through what it meant to hold this amount of responsibility in my hands. I have these people that are living in properties that I own. I need to take care of that. I need to make sure the bills are paid. I need to make sure that we're operating effectively and efficiently before I go on and take on bigger responsibilities. So that was not a reasonable next step for me to take. So the same for you if you were to come to me and say, hey, I want to do this. But you came to me and said, hey, we want to live in one of these and rent out the other side. Bang, let's do that. And time bound. Do you guys have a timeline in mind?
I'd like to have a property by the end of this year, 2025.
I'd say that's a very reasonable time frame. End of this year. That gives us where we at. This May.
Yep, May. So 7 months.
We got 7 months. That's probably too much time, honestly.
Maybe.
Going back a little bit to the financial foundation, one of the tough conversations you and I had, or one of the challenges I had, was to sell your car. Where are we at on that?
It's listed on Facebook right now. And right now I've had some people that were interested in it, but eventually I did follow up with them, but they did stop responding to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I did take the step to lower the price just a little bit to see if I could get more responses. And that was a little successful. So I may just keep going a little bit slowly, but we'll see if I can get someone to eventually buy it.
Bang, taking action. Somebody's going to come along.
Yeah.
Some person is going to come buy that vehicle, and it's paid off, right?
Yep.
So this is a big step because you pay off the car, and now you have a little bit of a nest egg. You have a little bit of money in savings right now. You sell the car, you beef up your savings even more. Then that is what the catalyst is to be able to go talk to lenders and figure out what the financing options are and how we can actually, the measurable step. One of those measurable things is, okay, I need to have an X amount of dollars. I need to have a certain number in my bank account before I can go do these things. While a lot of people will say buy with little to no money down, it's possible, and I would never say that it's not. But for something like this, where we're trying to get Cole into a house hack, where he's going to be living in one side, he's going to rent out the other side, you've got to have a little bit of money. Now, of course, you could borrow that money. That could be a zero money out of pocket type of scenario. Somebody donates or gifts you that money, or you have access to a VA loan, which is a 0% down loan, which everybody has access to, a USDA loan, which is a 0% down government-backed loan where you can buy properties in approved rural areas up to 4 units. So put that beast in your tool belt because that's a good one. So that's also an option for you guys as well, depending on where you want to live. So we also need to figure out, where do you want to live? Okay, so that's SMART targets, or SMART goals, as most people would say. I like to say targets. But I knew that I needed to do a number of things when I was going through this journey in order to get my finances straight. I needed to implement these SMART targets. I needed to understand what was happening with my income. I needed to have a number of outputs that were going to get me to my goal, right? So, what are the things that you need to do? The things I need to do is a number of outputs that will walk me step by step towards my goal. Whether that's saving every penny that comes through the door, whether that is saving every penny that comes through the door, making sure I know what's going out the door. We want to make sure that our expenses are taken care of, and we'll get all into that in a minute. But what outputs are needed in order for me to get to this goal? So we kind of outline those things. But also, before we ever even get into our first deal, we want to make sure that we are not too comfortable. Most people are very, very comfortable. Most people are afraid to go all in. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back from making meaningful changes. You have already demonstrated that you're willing to go all in. Hey, dude, I'm willing to sell my car. Hey, man, I'm willing to delete Amazon in order to stop my spontaneous spending. Like, you're willing to do those things, and that means a lot.
And with my college.
And what's that?
And with my college, shifting out of college and pursuing a full-time job to save money.
Huge step.
Yeah.
When does that happen?
So I just graduated with my associates. So now I'm taking a summer class, but it's fully manageable with my schedule. It's Monday and Wednesday, 7 to 8:30. So after that, I go right into work, and I'll work a full day, just like normal.
And when school is done?
School is done, other than that summer class. Yep.
Fantastic. That's amazing.
Yep.
How's it feel?
Interesting. We'll say that much.
Well, what's interesting?
Well, just the shift from, I would say this whole time of my life, I've been in school. I've been in school, since 12th grade, graduate high school, then go right into college, and now I'm getting out of college. Doesn't mean I'm going to not stop learning, but I think that I should keep learning outside of that. But I do feel a little different, I guess, from what I've been used to my whole life.
Yeah. And honestly, that's most of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most people stop learning after their formal education.
Right.
People who went to high school and didn't go to college stopped learning after high school. Most people that went to college stopped learning after college. There's so much to learn. There's so much to know. And the fact that you have that mindset is now you get to choose. College no longer has a grip on your life in terms of what you're going to learn and how you're going to succeed. You can read books, which you've already been doing, about money, about real estate. Have you been reading any real estate books yet? You read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read a couple finance books. I read Psychology of Money is a really good one. I've been reading How to Think Bigger. What was that one?
The Magic of Thinking Bigger.
The Magic of Thinking Bigger.
Great book.
And then I've read one more right now that I'm also reading alongside that is $100 Startup. That's also a really good one of people that started a business and scaled it.
Yeah. And honestly, the world is your oyster. That's the coolest part. And one of the things I love is that you can take a book, and I honestly couldn't stand reading. I never read a book cover to cover before I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. You can take decades and turn them into days. Somebody's decades of experience you can take and you can boil it down to just a matter of days and save yourself the headache. Literally the best feeling shortcuts that actually work is reading books, man. Like, you can just change your whole stinking life by reading a book. It's crazy, and I'm sure you've picked up a lot. And here's the thing: most of us are doing too much of the wrong things. We put out all these outputs. Like, why isn't life getting better? Well, we're putting out the wrong outputs. The outputs that we're putting in have us going into drone mode and when we're looking at our phone. Or instead of sitting at the dinner table and sharing a conversation with our family, we turn on the TV. Hello, I'm guilty of this too. And we got to be better at figuring out, paying attention to the outputs that we're putting out. If we don't pay attention, then just the outputs will be the outputs, and life will determine what happens to us. Don't be a bag in the wind. Do not be a bag taken away by the wind. You end up in some dump in India.
No more bag.
And you do not want to be in a dump in India. Do you?
No, I definitely wouldn't want to be.
You do not. But what am I saying? Our phones are the meaningless things of life that somehow take up so much of our time. For example, I downloaded a bunch of these apps to prevent me from going to social media. And if I open Instagram, it takes me to a separate app immediately, and I have to wait 10 seconds until this fades away, and then I can choose to go into Instagram. And so I was enamored by this. I thought it was so cool because it saved me, in just 6 months, it saved me over 10 days of time. It was crazy. Wow. 10 days. 10 whole 24-hour periods. Crazy. So I downloaded a bunch of them with a mutual friend of ours, Jamie. And some of them take you through a prompt of how much time you'll use of your life on apps based on how much screen time you have per day. So I was being probably conservative in the wrong direction, 1 to 2 hours per day on my phone. Spread out until I lived to maybe 85 years old. I'm not sure what end date they used. But I would give 13 years of my life to my phone. Absolutely crazy. 13 whole years that I could have used living life with my family, my spouse, experiencing new things, giving new things, doing more, becoming more. But no, I give it to this device that controls how I think and what I do and knows more about me than the people that I live around. And it's just a really strange way to live. And I think that we all have so much more to offer the world than staring into the abyss of whatever our phone wants us to think, feel, and believe. And yeah, we get so comfortable. We get distracted by all these comforts. Sitting on the couch, not pursuing more, not learning, not reading our books, not breaking out of the mold that is this thing that most of us don't even know why we do most of the things that we do. So in order to fix that, we've got to break out. We've got to start reading books. We've got to have better conversations. We've got to get around better people, or not better people, but people who are more aligned to living a lifestyle that makes more sense to us. So I think one of the best ways to do that, and this is what I encourage you to do, fix your morning and fix your evening.
That sounds like pretty good advice.
It's stern and sound advice. Okay. Yeah. So fix your evenings and fix your mornings. What does that mean? That means no phones after a certain period of time. What are we learning at the evening time? How are we connecting in the evening time? You're a gamer, right?
Oh yeah.
I know you love the game. I like the game too. Not as much as you do. I got the old 14-year-old Xbox. I'm surprised it's still kicking, but there comes a time where we've got to say no to some of these things. I'm not saying completely. I'm saying set in some boundaries. That way your evenings can be used to learn information so that you can actually achieve the things that you want to do. Boundaries create freedom. Hey, I give myself the opportunity to enjoy video games from this time to this time on these days and these days. Because without that, then it's just like, oh, well, I just want to relax. I had a hard day at work today. I just want to relax. I want to unplug. I'm going to play video games. Or I could do that for a short time, and then after that time is expired, I get out my books. I go to YouTube. I start watching things. I start learning from people. I start trying to figure out this thing called real estate. Try to figure out this thing called life. Try to figure out this thing called personal development. And then we start to unlock all this time that was available to us in the beginning, but now we're channeling it so we can actually go forth and conquer. Same thing with our mornings. One of the biggest benefits that has ever happened in my business career is waking up before everybody else is awake. I mean, the true action of like my personal growth began. And, for you, it might not be 4 o'clock in the morning, but for me, for a long time, I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I would read 10 pages of my Bible. I would read 10 pages of whatever book I was reading. For the longest time, it was The Intelligent Investor. Wow, what a boring book. But I wanted to get through it and I was committed, right? Those 2 times allowed me to surpass all the people that I was around. Because, and there's some hard charges that I was around, but the people that I was around, my real estate progress is much, much further than theirs because I got up in the morning and I did the work at night. I didn't go out. I didn't spend my money. I did all the things. All right. So we've been in this for about an hour now. We want to start closing this. We wrap it up with some tactical tips and tricks. We've actually already started talking about some of these things. So if you're having trouble with your phone, with shopping, I say you've got to go overboard or else you'll get thrown overboard. I'd rather go overboard voluntarily. You ever see anybody walk the plank?
Yeah.
You'd rather walk it on your own versus somebody like jabbing a spear into your back.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe do a backflip off of it. Maybe steal a life raft on the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just maybe start sinking their ship on the way down too.
Correct.
Somehow.
We've been doing this for about an hour now. My phone died, technical difficulty. We're switching up, but the show must go on. We can figure anything out. Anything is figure outable. We got the team here. We're making it happen. I got the best in the biz behind the camera right now. Best in the business. Super stoked. And to wrap this up, to put a nice little bow, give us some tactical stuff, we're talking about going overboard. I'd rather go overboard than get thrown overboard with a spear in my back on my butt. Not a good place to be, I'll tell you that. So, what does going overboard look like? For me, this is exactly what I did. I deleted everything off of my phone. Social media, gone. YouTube, she gone. Tinder, because at the time I was a single bubba. All the dating apps, gone. Any games on my phone, eliminated. Shopping apps, goodbye, sayonara. Everything was gone. Anything that was a time waster, anything that was not going to help me get to the next place was gone. And then I bring things back as necessary. YouTube made its way back onto my phone. Why? Because I was consuming, video after video after video of people teaching me about real estate. Audible came back onto my phone. Why? Because I was consuming constantly the books of real estate investors, personal development gurus, mindset people. I was obsessed with these things. I eliminated as many distractions as possible. Because without that, then we're just wasting time. We're not committed. What is this really for? I deleted every subscription that I had with the exception of Spotify. Spotify stayed, again, for the podcast. And I cut out my gym membership. I cut out every single penny that was going out, and we'll come to that in a moment. But we really got to commit to what we're willing to do. Like, do we actually want this, or are we just playing? Are we interested, or are we committed? Like, that's the biggest thing. Are you interested in being a real estate investor, or are you committed to being a real estate investor? Those two things are very, very different. And it's going to show in your actions. It's going to show how you use your time in your mornings. It's going to show how you use your time in the evenings. You get control of those things and you eliminate all these things that are going to distract you. You will find success. It might not be in a week. It might not be in a month. It might be a year from now, but you will find it. And you'll find that you find much more joy out of life when you don't have these constant distractions. Income. When it comes to budget, I cringe when I hear the word budget. I absolutely cringe when I hear the word budget because it means I got to put numbers into an Excel sheet and have this come over here and do. I can't stand that. I want to know how much money is coming in and how much money is coming out. When I first made this journey, I knew that I could live off of $1,236.39. I could go eat a bag of lentils and a bag of rice and live for 2 weeks. I could eat that for 2 weeks. So again, go overboard. Really figure out how much. Really figure out how much you've got to commit in order to reach your goal. I wanted to save as many pennies as I possibly could so I could get into more deals. I knew that was the target that I wanted to hit. So my encouragement to you, the tactical piece of advice here, print off 90-day statements. Have you done this?
Not yet.
Get 90 days of statements. You and your wife, both of you guys, print them off. Go through. If you really want this, commit. Freaking cut out all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
I can see it in your eyes, Bubba. No, but seriously, we want to cut out all the unnecessaries. I'm not saying don't enjoy things. You want to enjoy things, especially in your first year of marriage. You want to have certain things that you guys both enjoy. But I would cut out as many things that are non-essential as possible. Keep track of every expense. And I mean, bring it to the forefront of your mind. So when I first started, and I even still do this sometimes if I really want to get tight, is I would carry around a notebook and a pen, this special pen that I've been carrying around for like 7 years now. And I would keep a notebook with me, and every time I swiped my debit card, I would write it down. Every time I swiped my credit card, I would write. Well, I actually cut up all of my credit cards because I couldn't control myself. But I would write down every expense and what it was for. People would be standing behind me in line, like, "What are you doing, bro? Why are you writing in line?" Like, I gotta keep track of this stuff. This is my life we're talking about. I want to take control. I want to be the man behind the steering wheel directing the path that the ship is headed. So I would also encourage you to figure out what that survivor number is. What is the number that you guys need to survive off of, right? How long can you, like for a month,
Yeah.
per month, how long can you live? Or what is that number? Because when you get to that number, then you can say, this is how many rentals I need in order to technically be financially free. If you have residual income, I need $1,239.36 or $36.39, whichever one it is. I needed that in income for my rentals in order to be financially free, right? That's not that many doors. When you break it down that way and you live below your means, it's really not that much. But I'll finish with this. Don't wish things were easier. Wish you were better. Wish for more skills. That's a quote from Jim Rohn. Life is going to beat you up. Life is going to be hard, whether you're on this real estate journey or whether you're not. Whether you're trying to get into the gym or whether you're not. Whether you're trying to eat healthy or whether you're not. Life is going to be challenging. Choose your challenge. So don't wish for things to be easier. Wish for more skills. And the skills are here. The skills are being better at life. Like, just be better at life, right? Like, have the things that we like to enjoy. And I love to sit down and watch The Office. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. I love to sit down and play a few rounds of Fortnite. I started playing ranked Fortnite. I'm really not good. I've been playing unranked Fortnite for the longest time, and I thought that I was good. I'm not. I have not won a single battle royale. But I schedule those times, and I have those times for me to enjoy. But there's a time to work and there's a time to play. And right now, it's working time, baby. We got to get it done. Do you have any thoughts?
No, that was
Any
really
last
good.
shots?
That was a lot.
Anything you'd like to share?
Not off the top of my head.
Boom. And again, real estate's cool, business is cool, but really it's just an outflowing and an outpouring of something that is much more important than all of us, which is our relationship with Christ. Like, truthfully, there's never been an amount of peace that has been in my life without God. That peace doesn't exist. We can find it in certain ways, we can find it in little blips, but it doesn't last and it doesn't surpass my understanding. When I have a relationship with God, when I have a relationship with my Creator, Jesus Christ, it truly is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. All these buildings could burn up and fall away. All the money in our bank account, all the stuff that we have, it means literally nothing compared to my relationship with the Lord. So if you've ever had any questions about Jesus, I'd love to have those conversations. Reach out to me. But of course, we're talking about real estate here. Hit me up. If there's something that I can dial in more for you in the comments, please reach out, and we'll see you on the next one.